So the nice thing about Nearpod is you don't necessarily have to do an entire lesson with Nearpod. You can just do one activity and make it meaningful for the students to actually be using Nearpod versus anything else. So I'm going to show you how to create just an activity. So videos are good just depending on what you're doing with your students, but we also have ed puzzles and it basically does the same thing as Nearpod. So that's something to consider. Like I said, we're not going to do a lesson. We're going to do an activity. So if you don't know how to find this screen, you just have to click on My Lessons on Nearpod, click Create, and go to Activity. So now, here are some quick start activities. We have Matching Pairs, Time to Climb, which is the game that I showed you previously. We have Draw It, or Drag and Drop. So let's say, for example, we're going to do Drag and Drop. Now, there are two ways that we can actually make a drag and drop. So, we can start from scratch, but I highly suggest that every time you are looking for an activity, you always search what is already made for you so you don't spend your time recreating the wheel whenever there's something that is already done. So, let's say we're going to go over shapes. We have K through first, 6th through 8th, 3 through 5th, and it's also important to pay attention to what the titles are. So, like shape properties, area of composite shapes, perimeter. Let's say, for example, we are working on perimeter. So, I can click on here, it'll show me the activity that is already made. So, you have the instructions here. You can click up and it says create a shape with a perimeter of 6 units, create a shape with a perimeter of 11 units, etc. So here, it'll tell you that each side of the shape is equal to 1 unit. So the students would have to figure out how much the perimeter would be of a triangle versus a square, etc. So that was one activity. If we don't like this one, we could also just go back. So we're going to keep edit. Oh, so you could go back. We're going to go back because we didn't like it. So we are going to lose all of our changes because we decided that was not a good activity. So you can go back into activity, go back to drag and drop. And let's say we don't want to do that. We do want to do shapes, but we don't want to do perimeters. So we can go to shapes again. Let's do shape attributes. Why not? So here, this one seems interesting. So each shape has different characteristics. We have shapes and the number of sides. So here, for example, the students would be able to drag and drop items. So here, this is a sphere, has 0 sides, so we'll be able to drop it. It's not letting me drop it now because it's just showing you the activity. So let's say, for example, we wanted to add more images because we wanted to just throw one in there that maybe didn't even match the other ones. So you can press add image and look up whatever we wanted, and hopefully it'll pop up. Let's say we want another picture of a ball, like a soccer ball. We could add it onto here and it'll show up. Now, these are activities that you can do really easily, like I said, just as an interactive activity for students to do. So I highly suggest, like I said, looking through those. Now, that was the drag and drop activity. If I go to activity again, there's one that is draw it. It's pretty simple. I click on draw it. You have the option to just add your own question here and have the students draw. Let's say, for example, you've been going over something in science that has to do with the life cycle. You could type in something like draw an example of the life cycle of an animal, and then you should have this posted. You could add a timer if you wanted the students to only be working for like 3 minutes on this. You could add the timer for it to stop whenever you are done with that. The students would have the ability to use a crayon and different activities here at the bottom. You could add text to make it easier. They could add an image instead of having to draw, for example, a frog. They could search up a frog to add to their stuff. Here is a cute little frog that we want to be a part of our life cycle. I can make it smaller. The frog's probably the most important thing or harder thing for them to draw, so then they would be able to get their crayon, make the little arrow, etc. So here is an example of what you could do for a science class using the draw activity. I am also going to show you the last activity that shows up on our quick activities, which is matching pairs. So now here, like I said, I highly suggest always looking for things that have already been made for us. Let's see. Let's see if we can find something for social studies, because I don't think I've done a lot of activities with that. So let's share it. Oh no. Let me look this up again. Social studies, apply. There you go. So now let's see. Supply and demand, cause and effects. Interesting. So we can click on that. And then here we have examples of different outcomes. So match the pictures with the outcome. When the supply goes up, the prices go down. When one person wants something, demand is low. So actually, let's go ahead and save this so you can see what it would look like on the student end. So here, I'm going to save and exit it so I can have it in my lessons. And I want to preview this. So on the student end, they would get all of these things, match the picture with the outcome. Let's see. So when the supply goes down, the price goes up. Good job. So we get these little things right here that show us, let's see, when one person wants something, the demand is low because it's just one person. Okay. When a lot of people want something, the demand is high. When the supply goes up, the prices go down. Makes sense. Beautiful. So we did this in 4 tries. That is great. On our end, because I have done activities like this where they match, if there is a student that is rapid clicking, you would know for sure. So you could see that I took some time to actually read the things. It took me 4 tries because I was able to get them correct. Let's say maybe a student got some of them wrong, then that's totally fine. They would be able to take a few tries to get it done, but it wouldn't be extreme. So if this only took 4 tries and I got all of them right, maybe a student got it right in 6 tries because they got a few wrong once or twice. If the student is doing this and they get like 14 tries, 20 tries, like an outlandish amount of tries, it's because they were rapid clicking and they were not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So keep that in mind as you are doing activities like this. So lastly, if we go to create activity, there is the time to climb videos or activity games that we have. Very cute. The kids love them. So let's say, for example, we are going to do something for math and for 3rd grade. So let's apply to search power of 10, telling time to the nearest minute. Let's try that one. So here it has 8 questions. Question 8 of 8. So we can go and look at all these questions, see if it's something we like. The hour hand is short versus long. The minute hand is long versus short. So you can look through these questions. If there's a question that you don't necessarily like, you can delete it right here in the corner. It says delete. If there's a question that you do like, and you actually want to duplicate it to ask it in a different way. So it says what time is shown on the clock. Maybe we want to copy this and we want to say what number is the hour hand pointing to allow the students to kind of get a different way of looking at these questions. Also, we can reorder the questions if we wanted to, but as the students are going through this, they would just be answering the questions. So let me save this so we can see it from the student's point of view. So here, just want to preview. So, time to climb. The hour hand is long. Is it? No. The minute hand is short. This isn't actually showing me what the student end would look like. I would probably have to go through a different way to show you, but that's the questions that would be popping up. If the student gets it right, their little person climbs up the mountain. That's why it's called time to climb. So those are the 4 activities that kind of pop up already whenever you go into Nearpod and you just press create an activity. I'm going to show you other ways to access hundreds of different types